Hey everyone, welcome to the Key Seekers podcast. I'm your host Ramneek.
I'm your co-host Chad.
We want to welcome you to the podcast. We are really excited about this project.
Key Seekers International Group is a boutique real estate group brokered by Homesmart, tailored and dedicated to service.
And one thing we wanted to do is create a platform dedicated to highlighting and showcasing the integrity, inspiration, and potential of the people and businesses within our communities.
Not only that, we also wanted to curate personal conversations and establish meaningful relationships that could add value to anyone listening that's seeking growth in their own pursuits to help accomplish their own goals.
So welcome.
And thanks for listening. It's funny.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you guys for being here. Mm-hmm. I'll let you guys say your name so then people associate your name with your voice. So who do we have here? Who are you? Who are you?
Who are you? Who is with me right now?
Yeah.
I am Deidre Murzynski.
And I am Joshua Murzynski.
Nice.
Yes, this is my real voice.
Yes, that is the way he talks 100% of the time. I can verify
100%.
that. It doesn't change whatsoever.
That's awesome. So we wanted to have you on this weekend because we started a podcast for our real estate group, and one type of episode we want to do is past clients that we've worked with that are willing to come on and just talk about themselves, and just kind of, we wanted to start with like a little background about you guys, whatever you want to say, and then how that led into how did you meet the person you worked with in our group, so Chad in this case, and then how that experience was, and then going into what are you guys up to now, and what do you guys see yourself doing in the next 2-3 years, just
And shamelessly plug things.
and
There will definitely be time for shameless
plugging. and plug whatever you want, you know.
Which I currently have open on my laptop at this moment.
I can see that, and I'm looking forward to it.
So let's start, like, because this is the first time me meeting you guys.
Yes.
And it's already, I can already see how it made sense. If that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, but tell me a little bit about you guys. Are you from the Valley or not?
I'll
Well,
let you start.
Yeah.
So we are not from the Valley, although we've been living here since 2005.
Okay.
We both come from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
I come from a land called Erie, Pennsylvania. It is very cold there
Also
this time
known
of
as
year.
Snow Hell.
Yes, as snow.
It's a quality name for
And
it.
this lovely lady with me just so happens to be my significant other, my spouse, if you will.
that
and
explains
we-
the last name
Yeah,
thing.
It does. It does. The pieces
good to
are
know.
coming together. And she is from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, the Billy Joel song.
Nice.
What a piece of crap. Based on the song
Exactly. Yeah. It's
No offense to Allentown.
no.
No, it's
not
okay.
At all.
Apparently
It's
they're
okay.
shutting all the factories down.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
That's
the-
Pennsylvania in
yeah, I was
general,
gonna say, it's
shutting
the
down
same
the
thing.
factories.
It's the same thing in Erie, just the industrials. It's just all those buildings are abandoned and they're not doing anything anymore.
Sure.
It's become a drug den is really what it's become, unfortunately.
So we both went to Edinburgh University, which is a small cow town with a college
Great
outside of
school,
Erie.
by the way. That's Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania.
First shameless plug. Done.
So usually people plug things they get paid for, but whatever.
Right?
That's okay. The hope is that maybe a sponsor will come in the near future. Who knows?
Yeah. You're probably the first one to shout out to that
Yeah.
university, so
That's
they,
fantastic.
they should be happy.
Because no one else will.
Yeah, no one else will.
So Josh has a degree in fine art with a concentration in animation.
Correct. And
Awesome.
specifically character designs and storyboards is what I focused on. Got into the animation gig and it really was not my strongest suit, but I did enjoy designing characters and storyboards and comics, but more on that later.
That's awesome.
And I have a degree in math. And haven't really done anything with that. But,
and
you
a
know,
minor
that's
in
okay.
awesome.
And 2 minors in computer science. But
Awesome.
that's a little closer to what I've done stuff with.
Nice. So what brought you guys to Arizona? Just work and jobs and stuff?
While I was in college, my parents moved here.
Okay.
And they moved away from Pennsylvania and left me there. I moved in with his family, and we came to visit my parents, and at least I fell in love with the area. I was like, I want to live here.
That's awesome.
There were palm trees, which I did not expect. I was like, they said they're moving to Arizona desert, and I'm like,
Cactus and
Yep, that's it.
seriously? Why would you want to
snakes.
go there?
That's it, and you just think ultimately up there's just cow skulls all over the place,
Right.
You know, tumbleweeds,
cactus and dust.
snakes,
Yep.
scorpions, dragons. At this point, I don't know. It just was a. It was. A
I mean, those are
completely
here,
foreign-
but-
Right,
But there's
yes.
also
Very
palm
small
trees.
ones.
very small ones. And biggest thing for me is when we decided to move on out here, it was primarily just to try to make it big in the art world. Because
Nice.
it's a stone throw away from California. So
Yeah,
that
that's
was
true.
another drive for me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to live somewhere warm. I was really sick of.
We got an incoming phone call.
Yes, that's my
Sick
sponsor.
of
See, the
snow.
sponsors are coming through already.
I know. University's like,
I
hey,
believe that
we-
was
Hey
that
there.
Avondale Nissan that I just saw calling.
That was Avondale Nissan. Go to Avondale Nissan for all of your servicing needs and fun car needs. I think they should owe me money for that.
Shameless plug number 2, done.
so where were we? So
So
yeah.
we wanted to get away from the snow.
Yes, that, yes.
So we graduated and moved out here like right away. And we've been living here since.
That's awesome. Did
Been
you
a
guys just
couple
move
years.
here and say we'll find jobs when we get here?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Pretty
That's
much.
awesome.
That's a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
Well, we were fresh out of college. We were bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go. We had our degrees, and the world was our oyster. We were going to take everything by storm and make so much money, do all the things with our degrees.
I was going to be an actuary.
Okay.
Started looking for those jobs and quickly realized I didn't want to be an actuary.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Just
It was really difficult to find anything. Like nothing was starter intro level. Like everything was like, we want 5 to 10 years experience. And then,
the chicken and the egg.
yeah, exactly. How do you get the experience?
Right.
And then it
Free
was,
internships.
right, exactly.
That's it.
And then it was, how do you, I had these tests I had to take and just trying to study for them. He was like, I'm sick of school.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
just sick of studying, sick of taking tests, sick
Right.
of all those things, and ended up working for Discover Card.
Oh, okay.
Shameless plug number
Yeah.
3. I don't recommend
we're just
Discover.
gonna-
Actually,
we're just
no,
gonna
we're
off-
not going to call that a plug. I didn't
Off
really enjoy
I-17?
that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
The main office out there.
And hated that job.
What were you doing there?
I was doing fraud prevention.
Oh, okay.
So fun.
Did you prevent
Yeah.
any?
I did. I prevented tons of fraud.
Not just a
At
clever
least
name.
2.
I was a hero.
Nice.
Yes.
Cool.
And then Josh.
Yeah, so I was trying to make it big in the art world, and realistically, it was the same type of experience where you just had to have the experience. How do you get the experience? As I move closer to the mic,
That's
how
good.
do you get the experience without having the job? It just was, it was a long, hard-fought battle. So
Yeah.
sent out a lot of just different things, a lot of applications, just my demo reels and that kind of stuff, and it just wasn't really paying off. So got a part-time job at Best Buy.
Nice.
And that turned into a full-time, and then so on and so forth. And then 9 years later,
Yeah.
we're directly there, still trying to realize the dream. Got a couple of sparks along the way where I was able to do a couple of gigs for storyboards just for some of the independent film companies out here, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But again, ultimately, it just didn't end up panning out.
So what is your ideal gig? Because like I mean storyboards, animation, like people know generally what those are, but like what would be the best, like if this was happening and I was a part of it, this would be ideal.
The ideal for me would be specifically if I'm working from home in my lovely office that Chad sold me the house for. He can see how we're connected.
That's a good plug.
Awesome.
You see that plug?
is
That was a good plug.
That
right
That
there.
wasn't shameless. That was a
Yeah.
solid.
That
plug.
was
was a
a
solid
solid.
good-
Because
solid.
I'm in the room. So
Solid plug. It's allowed. It's okay. I would love. So I have a lot of really cool intellectual property, and I love being my own boss. So
Right.
ultimately, it's just I'm going to be able to create my own content,
Right.
be able to make a living and make money off of it. Design characters, design a story, and just create something of substance that I can actually make a living off of.
And you have a lot of cool stuff.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I started looking at your website. Like Chad was like, here's his website. Check out his stuff before he comes in, so
Yes,
so you don't
please.
look like an idiot. You know?
Hey, dumbass, why don't you look at some stuff that pertains to our guest coming in?
Yeah.
No, I had.
I just realized your headphones are backwards.
I was gonna say, and I think the headphones just stopped working.
Stand by.
Well, hold on.
Technical
We're just gonna
difficulties.
do some filler here.
Technical difficulties.
Deidre, play some hold music. Sing some hold music.
Hurry. It's getting awkward.
What song is that you like to sing again?
Is that better? There we go. I can.
Yeah. Are you gonna
Thank
rickroll
you.
us now?
Yes, maybe. No, you missed it. You missed it.
I know. I was super disappointed.
So that's really cool about your gig, because when you're a starving artist, you know, like you got to do everything in your power to get your stuff out there in whatever creative different way you can.
Yeah.
Right.
And the one thing that I learned directly from Dee's father, who was a freelance musician, and now another shameless plug directly here too. Deidre, why don't you plug his band?
My dad, his band is called Thermal Blues Express,
Boom.
and you can Google them, and they play all over the valley.
Awesome.
They are a blues band.
All right.
And they're very good. There's going to be a lot of shameless
Yeah,
plugs.
why didn't we have him set up for your housewarming party? Like have him set up in the backyard, just playing away.
Great.
Oh, that's a huge miss.
Didn't think of that. Dang it.
We got to do it again.
Should have talked to me beforehand.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Remix.
Next time.
Yeah, right. Next time. But that's kind of some of the advice that he specifically gave to me was get a job just to help pay the bills. Don't try to make a living off of this and settle. You know, keep the drive, keep the passion alive.
Yeah.
Keep doing it, and then from there you're just gonna try to make a living.
Yeah.
That's something he wishes that he did.
Yeah.
Way back when.
No, I think that's sound advice. Like, I forget where I hear it. I think a lot of people say it in different ways, but like they say, you know, Mike Rowe says stuff like this too, where he says it's not about following your passion, but bringing it with you, you know, and especially when you're starting something or creating something from scratch and just your own ideas, you need a practical way to sustain while you make a name for yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know?
Yep.
Right.
So,
And that's the plan. A lot of really cool IPs out there that we have specifically, and it's just time.
Yeah.
Time
Yeah.
is our greatest enemy at this point. So
that's
just
awesome.
being able to do stuff, but keeping the dream alive.
So how did you guys run into Chad? Here's the big question.
So-
I like her side of it. I'll tell her side. I'll let her tell her side.
So, we had another house. We built a house about 9 to 10 years ago, and we've been living there for a long time. And it was far out in the West Phoenix area, and we started talking about like, well, first I guess the first thing is the jokes, which were I love to decorate, and that's actually my passion in life is decorating.
And she
Like
does,
in- like
she does a
interior-
great job with it too, guys.
Like interior designing and stuff?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Her
Oh,
rates
yeah.
her rates
Yeah.
are very affordable. she is absolutely available to do this for anybody.
awesome.
She does a wonderful job. Definitely.
Is that your side
Definitely
hustle?
That is, I wish it was my side hustle. I mean,
is
it's-
now.
It is now, apparently.
100% is now.
This is day one,
Yeah, let's
right?
go
Day
with the
one.
company name right
Yes.
now. What is it?
So we would always joke because I'd be like over decorating our old house, and I just didn't have any more fun to play with at this point because everything was done, everything was filled up.
We ran out of wall space.
We ran out of wall space. So the joke was, we need a bigger house. Got to have a bigger house because I need more stuff to decorate. And then we kind of actually seriously started talking about, it'd be nice if we lived closer to work. I work at GoDaddy and have for
Tempe?
Yeah,
Right.
actually in Scottsdale.
Okay.
And
Oh
I
yeah,
have
that's
for-
Raintree.
That's
area?
that's GoDaddy.com.
And I've worked there for over 10 years, and so it was like it's time, like, move farther east. We didn't really want to go too far east because we still wanted to be close to home or to family and friends and whatnot.
Which is more a west side?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So we kind of just started poking. I went on Zillow and started looking at open houses, and I thought, we could just do some open houses to just have some fun
Get a
looking at
feeler.
places, get a feeler.
Yeah.
Was totally unserious about buying a house, but we were just like, whatever. So got
Seemed
him
like
to
it
go
was
out.
a thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one weekend we went out and looked at I don't know, 5 places, 6 places, something like that. And nothing, I mean, some of the places were nice, but most of them not really striking any fancies.
But then
for the
Dude,
for
that's
the
that
next
story,
week,
the storyboard skills right there.
then for the next week, I had convinced Josh that we were not going to buy a house. That,
okay.
That we were going to
Dun, dun.
maybe just go through some stuff at our house and maybe like just, do some organization even more than we already had,
Right.
which was already quite significant.
More significant than she even knew.
Yes, I had no idea. More to come
It
later on
really
that.
is hard to like picture what your old house looked like with all of the stuff in
Exactly.
it compared to what you have now.
Yes.
Like,
Craziness.
Like I've been in your old house obviously because we had to sell it,
Right.
and just the size differential and just how much you guys have already filled in the new house and just everything's so like perfectly placed and really well spread out.
I mean,
So
that's
I
one of
can-
the benefits of moving in
Yeah.
to a new place. It's like an open canvas.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right?
I just feel like your old house. I would have walked into like a hoarder's home, just things piled
Not
up.
even
But
a little
I
bit.
know that's not the case.
And-
I hit there's a lot of stuff you can hide under a bed and in a closet.
The best thing about our old house is that if you had walked in it, you'd have been like, oh, wow, it's really nice. Everything's very nicely done. Like, things fit perfectly.
Like curated and
Yeah,
everything
things
else.
were
Yeah.
Almost a little
positioned
too
in
perfect.
the
Yeah.
best spots imaginable. But, and our house was 1,600 square feet previously.
Okay.
So just context
Yeah,
for
just to get an
story
idea.
of the new house.
Yeah.
But so, I had convinced Josh we were not going to move. Get to the following weekend, and I had already been looking on Zillow for other open houses.
Right.
So we decided, we'll just go out one more weekend, and that's it, and then we're done.
Well, you were right.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Little did we know.
How right she was.
So we had like 5 places to go to that day. We ended up missing one of them because they closed the open house before we got there, but instead ended up going like across the street to another house that was doing an open house with one of the other neighborhoods we were in. And then the very last house we had scheduled, or that I had on our list that day,
Right.
we walked into the first thing we walked up to the door, and the first thing I saw was this beautiful dark wooden door with this gorgeous door knocker on it. And
A
I
door
was
knocker.
Yes.
The door knockers,
You don't see those as-
It's super nice.
It's unique. You don't see it. And I
Right.
looked at this thing and I was like, I love this. It was the first thing. I didn't even get in the house at that point.
You're not even in, yeah.
And then we walked in the house. We nearly died on the first step.
That's true.
because there is this.
Even with me giving them warning.
Yes. But then we walked into the dining room, and there's this beautiful faux tin roof or tin ceiling thing, and I just loved it. And then walked into the master and loved that. Two walk-in closets.
It was the master bath.
Yeah.
Was it staged?
No,
No?
it was empty.
Oh, okay.
I was
But-
the only one in there with a table.
Right?
Yes.
Chad was staged.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm the type that, because I like decorating and
Yeah,
stuff,
you can see-
I can see.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
right.
like I can see it, and the vision was really easy because the bones of the house were so beautiful.
So
it had
good.
great floors, great wall colors.
Right.
Everything had been recently renovated.
Okay.
That's something I can tell. I watch a lot of HGTV.
HDTV for all of your
But and then we went upstairs, and Josh fell in love, I think, at that point because
What did you fall in love with, Josh?
There was an absolutely amazing bookshelf that was a built-in,
Uh-huh.
and it is. How big is it? It takes
it's
up
it's
like
huge.
the
It's 6
whole
bookshelves wide.
room. Right.
With
Whoa.
6 cabinets.
Okay.
And in the
Floor to-
middle,
floor to
there's
ceiling.
like a desk / entertainment space.
Oh, okay. Like,
So
I get it.
yeah,
Okay.
it's huge.
Okay.
And he saw that, loved it, and the room that it was in was just this big open family
Yep.
room type of thing. And
Isn't that weird? Like how it just, like you found features that you're like, this is
You're like,
awesome.
we don't see this
Exactly.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And the first thing I said, because I think at that point I had already decided I was buying this house.
That's awesome.
It didn't even matter. Like Josh and I never actually
By the
talked.
way,
It
Josh,
was, it was funny because obviously the house is massive and like you could get lost in it, especially
Yeah.
when there's like nothing there. So like
Right.
I'm on one side of the house being like, oh my god, this is amazing, I love it, and she's on the other side like, oh my god, this is amazing.
That's awesome.
And so we're deciding in our minds that yep, this is the one we want to do, and we just kind of
And Chad was there.
What's funny is like you guys were walking around the house for a while, and you know I left you to your business. It's the way I operate. I don't like hounding people or bothering them. And then you guys came down and were talking to me for a little bit, and just the sheer amount of like hesitation from Dee especially for wanting to do anything. 'Cause she was like, I can't. She's like, I feel so guilty about buying this house. I don't need one this big. And you're like, okay.
What am I doing?
Exactly.
But it's not like I was like trying to pressure you or anything. I
Not
was just
at
like, well,
all.
what do you like
Not
about
even-
the house? I was just
right.
trying to get you to tell me why you liked the house.
And there was this woman who came into the house during the open house.
Like
and I was,
another,
yeah,
like,
just another
walk.
like
Okay.
person who
Yeah.
was wanting to look at it. And she apparently lived in the neighborhood.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was talking,
I remember that lady.
I was talking to Chad, and this woman comes in and she kind of seems a little batty.
Oh yeah, a little weird.
A little Snoopy, like kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. But she was like, I'm buying this house. And I looked at Chad. And first of all, I mean, it was like telepathy. We're both
Right.
thinking, this woman is crazy.
Yeah.
But as she was saying this, the thought that ran through my head was, I have to buy this house tonight. If I want this house, I have to buy it tonight.
Well, and the thing about that house too is, before we got it as a listing, it was on the market for almost a year with 2 other agents that didn't sell it.
Really? Oh,
So
okay.
we actually had it. We had it under contract with another person like a week after we got the listing. We got it under contract, and then
It fell through?
It fell through because the people that were moving here, their pay stubs were significantly lower than what their work said they were going to get.
Oh, okay.
For their new job that they were coming here for, so they couldn't afford the loan to buy the home.
Okay, so just
So
financing.
it came back on the market, and of course, the first day I do an open house and it's back on the market.
We walk
they
in.
walk
and-
through.
and
Yeah.
walk Josh and Dee,
stroll on in.
That's
And
awesome.
Yeah, because we weren't expecting it to last either.
So-
and we actually got, after we had gotten it under contract, somebody else had sent an offer in
Oh,
after we had already gotten everything accepted.
accepted.
So we were like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
right.
and that was my thought going in there because I'm like, this house is not gonna sit. So
Right.
if I'm serious, I have to do it. And the funny part is we're standing there. I started talking to Chad about financing
Right.
and
And this is the
what
first time
should
you
we
met
do?
Chad.
Right.
Yeah,
And
we've
well,
never
it's funny
met Chad
we
before.
actually didn't talk about any of that stuff for maybe like 2+ hours.
Yes,
Right,
Because
it was-
instead we
yes.
started like nerding out.
And
and
that's
Yes.
that's
I was
where
like,
I come
Josh,
in.
is that a My Hero Academia
like,
keychain that you have?
So I'll paint the picture a little bit for this there too. So we
Give us some
connect-
context.
yeah,
Give us some
so
context.
We connected immediately just from I was wearing a Game of Thrones, like a Targaryen.
Okay, all right.
Go Targaryen.
Yeah.
Wearing a Game of Thrones T-shirt, he immediately recognized that. Oh, you're Game of Thrones fans. Yep. And what was interesting to me was I did have the lanyard. I actually have it today, right now, but it's tucked in my pocket. Where I carry a lanyard with my keys, and it was My Hero Academia, which is a very, very fun and popular anime, one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And he was able to pinpoint that right away. Without even any hesitation, I'm like, this guy, this.
Chad's like, I already know you.
Yeah, it's like this guy's
I was
my
like,
people.
I think we get along
Yeah,
already.
I think we're gonna get along just fine.
Yeah.
And then it was pretty much just us nerding and geeking out for literally hours as we were kind of because Dee was kind of deciding and just even talking to the finance guy too. We just kind of wandered around and was just talking about nerdy, fun, awesome stuff.
So Dee's like doing the groundwork, like
Yes.
trying
Yeah.
to figure this out.
Well,
like,
it's because we're talking about
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and at the same time, I'm making phone calls, setting Dee up with like a finance person,
Right.
which was Alex. who we
Alex.
had
Oh,
on,
okay.
so
All right. I met
shout
Alex
out to Alex
now, yeah.
Pfeiffer.
Alex is amazing also too.
Yeah.
We love Alex.
Yeah,
He
so
was
shout out
awesome
to
to
Alex
work
for
with.
helping us get all that put together so quickly.
that's awesome. I just met him about a week and a half ago. Awesome guy.
It's amazing,
Yeah.
and it was so quick. And then I was telling people
We were there
from
for like
work,
8 hours.
Yeah, it
We,
was,
oh
We
yeah,
had- we
and
had
then
your
I
parents
called
come
my
over.
parents and I was like, so I'm going to send you an address.
Yeah.
I want you to come here. Can you do that? And they're like, why? I'm like, no, just come here. And they were like, well, we're out shopping. I'm like, I don't care, just come here.
Drop everything now.
So sent them the address, and then they walked in. I was like, we're buying this house. Because at that point we had already decided to do so.
What was their reaction?
They just walked around, and my dad kind of like nodded his head.
Your mom's
and
taking
my mom
claim
was
to the
my mom
master upstairs.
Yes, my mom was like,
She was already sold on it. She's like, yep, this is my room.
yep. She's like, this is my room, and we're done. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So 1,600 square feet, your first house,
Yep.
right? Single story?
Yep.
Two-story.
No,
Two story. Okay. To this house, which is also 2-story.
Yep,
What's the square footage?
3,200.
Wow, 3,200.
Double in size.
So
Wow.
double the size.
Yeah.
And,
We don't have any kids, just furry babies.
Well, it
You
gives
needed
you
play
more,
space and office
Right,
space. And
right.
well, just
Plenty
to give
of
an
guest
idea of like
rooms.
where you're coming from into what you're
Yep.
into now. That's a huge jump.
big time.
Yeah.
And I mean, like Chad said, I felt majorly guilty because I loved our first house, and I mean,
But like, why guilty though?
but there was like this thing about like I felt guilty about like I'm leaving this house that
Oh,
that's kind of like my baby, our first house,
Right.
and there was also we don't need this much space,
Right, yeah.
and
Which we clearly do now.
I didn't know how big Josh's pop collection was.
Yeah, so
I didn't either until I
Until-
saw it.
Yeah.
saw it.
So full disclosure, I enjoy Funko Pops, and for those of you that don't know what those are, you should Google that because it adds to the nerdery. And I lost count. There's an app out there that I was told to get that will give me my collection's worth.
Yeah.
I'm kind of scared to do it. ultimately.
Why scared?
Because there's a
gotta do it.
lot. It's like, I think
Because
it's
then
gonna-
Dee would be
yeah.
like, "You're selling this
There
and
is
this."
a closet
These are
full.
exactly what I
Yes.
thought they were.
Yep,
I was
yep, that's it.
Yeah, there's a closet full of them, and it is fantastic.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
And we have a bunch of them on that bookshelf.
Oh yeah, and I have a bunch that I have at work as well. too,
That's awesome.
So,
Still in the box, right?
yes,
Some
most,
are-
most of
For
them
some are
are
out.
Most of
but
them are
I've doubled up on some of them. Like if I know I'm going to take something out of the box, then
Yeah.
get good deals on it. So
Yeah.
The
And
collector mentality.
Yes,
I
yes.
definitely have some too, except I take them out of the boxes.
Yeah.
Because I learned, unfortunately, with my. When I was a kid, I have this collection of Happy Holiday Barbies
Oh, okay.
that were
All right.
supposed to be worth something. That is in quotes.
Yeah.
Worth something. They never are. They're like worth $30 a piece now.
It's like the Iraqi dinar.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, that's not going up in value anytime
yeah.
soon.
So now I'm giving them to my niece, and she's taking them out of the boxes, and I'm super excited about it because that's all I wanted to do as a child. So
Right.
now I'm not big into keeping things in boxes unless it's
Yeah, you can't
something
really,
I don't need out of the
you can't really
box.
play with Funko Pops. I mean, you
No.
could, but they're like just bobbleheads.
Yeah,
Pretty much,
right.
yeah.
Actually,
That's really what
I
they are.
played with my friend Clancy's daughter Friday with Funkos in the office one day. So
Okay, I can
and we
see
had
that.
plenty of fun.
Well, I mean, it is what you make. It is what you make of it.
Exactly.
Imagination.
Well, that's
So-
awesome.
So,
So
yeah.
you guys met Chad, start putting the deal together, right there on the spot. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Immediately.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, after hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were there
We
for
kept
8
Chad.
hours,
Yeah,
so-
we
You know
kept
what?
Chad
It
for a
didn't-
while.
Now that I'm looking at it, it did not seem like it was that long of time. But yeah, it was night when we.
Yeah.
You guys strolled in, I want to say, around noon, and I
Yeah.
think we
Yeah.
left a little after 8 p.m.
Yeah,
Right.
something like that. It
Right.
was like an all day
Time
thing.
flies
But it
when
flew
you're having
by.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it flew by. I mean, with meeting Chad, and we really hit it off right away as friends at first too, and then like, please
I-
help me with this
yeah,
because
I
our
just-
first house we built and we didn't go through a realtor.
Right,
We didn't know
right.
really anything about buying a house at
Right.
that point, even though we had done it before. But
Right.
it was kind of a different experience, and
Yeah.
took a lot more
I
time.
think how we hired you was probably my favorite part.
Oh yeah.
where-
I go,
where
how
it
do I
was-
hire you? And he goes, well, you just tell me you want to. I'm like, you're
No,
hired.
No, yeah, no, but like you specifically asked, like, do you want to hire me to be your realtor? And there was a long dramatic pause.
Yeah.
And we're like, yes. Yes, we do.
Okay, I can help.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's-
Well, so like you put the deal together and everything, but then you got to sell the other house.
Yeah.
So it sounds like things
What's
moved
funny
really
is
quick.
we actually came up with a way to buy first
Yep.
and then sell because they have dogs at their old house. So we came up with a game plan to get everything to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
The right way.
and actually Alex was the one who came up with that when I was talking to him, because he started asking me about, well, do you have a 401k? Do you have stocks? Do you have this? And I was like, wait a minute.
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
I have those
all
things.
those things.
And so
I
he's
have other
like
terms of financing.
giving me these, tidbits
Ideas,
on
yeah.
how that we could leave off the sale of our house as part of the deal. And so that's what we did. And that worked out really well because I was nervous about my dogs. Like, we have 4 tiny dogs, 2 Chihuahuas, and 2 miniature pinchers.
All right.
They are ankle biters.
Yes.
And they really don't like strangers. So, I mean, the thought that I had was, well, I guess they could move in with my parents so that we could, keep our
The
house
transition.
open.
Yeah.
But at the same token, we were like, yeah, no, that would suck.
The transition is always a little tough.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
especially if you're going from one place to another, it's like that void where like, okay, what if something happens sooner than the other thing? And
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we just decided, you know what? We'll put our house up on the market after we
After you
move
get
into
settled.
after
Yep.
at least we get closed on the other place.
Right.
And
Yeah.
at least, start moving in.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And
And that didn't take long.
no,
No, it was amazing just how fast the purchase of the new home went. Like, it felt like it was like 2 weeks and we were already in it.
Right.
And then from there, a couple of hiccups in the road on the sale of our old house, but I was able to get it through.
well,
No.
hiccups, not really a good term in my opinion. Like it felt pretty normal.
Yeah, we had like 7 offers in the
Yeah.
first 24 hours.
Exactly.
Is that
So-
the hiccup?
No, the hiccup was just some of the stuff that came up along the way.
You know,
Oh,
we're
okay.
just appraised lower than what our contract
Yeah.
was. We had to like renegotiate and then
So
just
you
try
sold it for more than it's worth?
I know.
How
Can
dare
you
you?
believe that?
We were going to sell it for more than it was
Yeah.
worth, and then they kind of appraised it for less than we thought, and that was okay.
yeah.
As it turned out, it was fine. But
You got max value for your home.
yes,
You did it.
exactly. So,
Success.
And
but
then
yeah,
the security
my-
system, that was fun.
the security system was a pain in the
Yeah,
butt,
that was
and
a
as a
pain in
matter
the
of
butt.
fact, I am still dealing with that.
Are you serious?
Because they haven't turned it off yet.
So
We're
expla-
still
explain
getting.
that.
We still
What's
get
going on?
notifications.
So,
What's the juice? Give us the juice.
so
So
we
this
had to
terrible security company that Dee decided to put in.
right.
A reverse plug.
It
No
we had a
slander
contract.
today. No slander.
we had a contract for 5 years with this company,
Okay.
which
Is
was
insane.
way longer than I probably should have, but whatever, things happen. So, and plus I never thought we were moving out of the other house. So,
Right.
Yeah.
but the buyer didn't want to keep the security system, which was fine, but then it all ended up costing like $1,500 to get out of the contract.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So that was a pain. And then even after that, we kept getting emails from the alarm system going, hey, a door was left open or a window
So it's
was
still
left
kinda,
open.
like, active?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
still active. And I'm like,
Somehow.
I canceled it. Like, what the heck?
All right.
Well, apparently when you cancel it on a financial level, that doesn't actually close down the system. So I've called them now twice to get the system actually shut down because I'm like, this guy doesn't want it.
Right.
So just shut the thing down.
Right. Well, that's kind of an
So-
interesting hack. You just stop paying, but it still keeps going.
Oh, no, I paid.
Yeah.
Paid the whole
Yeah.
for the rest of the contract, which blah.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I also the company was nice about it, like easy to deal with for the most part. But yeah, so I just got an email and a call from them about actually shutting the thing down as I've requested now 3 times.
Finally.
All right.
But
Time's
you
a
know,
charm.
so we'll see.
Yeah.
It'll work.
But yeah,
So what are your biggest takeaways from this whole process? Anything that sticks out to you, just whether it's something with Chad or not, like just going from the sale and the buy and then the moving, like something that was different than your previous experiences?
well, everything was different than our previous experience because we
'Cause you
never
built
went.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
never went
right.
through the offer stage. We never went through acceptance. We
Right.
never we did finance before, but I don't know. I guess that was
It was-
a little different.
Yeah.
We were in a very different financial position too than when we bought the first house because we make more money now, which is great.
Hooray.
Yay. But yeah, Chad really, the biggest thing in working with Chad was he was constantly setting my mind at ease. Like, I felt like I didn't have to worry about anything because Chad was just right there, like taking all of the things before I even had to worry about them. Mm-hmm. And even with the sale of the house, which I think I worried about a little bit more, he was just always like, no, it's fine. I've done this before. Don't worry. Yeah. And he was right. Like everything, as I'm like, well, what if they don't do this? What if they back out? What if they blah, blah, blah? He's like, no, it's fine. Don't worry.
I remember when you were like, well, we have to go down in price, but just give them whatever they want. And I was like, no, I'm going to get you back $3,000. Don't worry about it. You're like, well, what if they back out? They won't. I was like, this is what's going to happen. Trust me. And you're like, but I'm like, just trust me. And then I call you back and I'm like, okay, I got it back for you. Yep. You're just like, what?
Although, that's good.
It's like that took 15 minutes. Yeah, you're welcome.
I mean, that's like the kind of stuff we hope for, like, you know, with our group and stuff, is to be more, not just like an agent, but an advisor. And just like kind of be there through the process, no matter where you need help or guidance, or just as a resource or someone to call, be like, hey, what's going on? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And from my perspective too, ultimately, I wasn't as worried as Deidre was, but it really helped. The process just went by so fast, so professionally, and just so swimmingly that we could not have asked for anybody better to really help guide us along the way.
Oh, and I really
in this adventure and in this journey. So
I really do.
That is not a shameless plug at all.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I really do appreciate that, and I think for me, my favorite part is
what was your experience, Chad? It's like, these guys were.
My experience is that I got 2 new awesome friends.
Yeah,
so like,
I know, that's awesome. I mean, that's the cool part, right?
So,
like,
so that's the way we look at it.
We got 4 new awesome friends too. So I mean, that was some of the best parts, I think, for me, because even now, you know, I have my house. I have my house.
I just let her do.
I think Josh is there too. So, yeah.
No, I have a room. So.
It's called the Aqua Room.
The Atlantis room.
Oh yes, the Atlantis room. That's what it was.
But you know, we have the housewarming party, and it's awesome because Chad and Laura come over, and then we have a new friend, Corey, and his girlfriend, Nicole. And it's like, this is so cool because now we have additional friends and, you know, can have a new house, and we're really close by. So it's like, this is really neat.
It's a good location.
Yeah,
it's
such
like
5 minutes away from each other now.
Right.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
But yeah, it's fun. And you should definitely check out their house sometime.
No, I'm going to have to. Like, I like to hear about it before I even, like, know about either one, and then like at some point if I see your new place, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what she was talking about. It's like,
and just what they did with that big old cabinet upstairs, that big wall unit.
So the first thing that I said when I saw that cabinet, because at that point when I first saw it was I was already like, I'm pretty much we're buying this house.
Right.
But I looked at that cabinet and it was this 90s oak color.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And I said,
nah.
You're getting painted.
Yeah.
I had made up my mind, and we ended up. So when we closed on the house, the second, or the day after we closed, I had people to clean the floor come in and like really scrub it down, get the grout sealed, all that, and then the next day had the painter come in and do the bookshelf.
And what color did we choose?
It's a white. It's an off-white color.
An off-white. Okay.
Yeah.
It goes not necessarily really cream, but like it is.
It's called Swiss coffee.
There you go. All right.
And which is actually a pretty standard builder's color at this point, because actually our old house, all of the trim was done in Swiss coffee.
Okay.
So like
she knew what she wanted.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't even pick that out because I had been communicating with the painter. I'm like, I want white, and they were like, we don't do white. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't do white? Okay. And he's like, well, we recommend this color called Swiss coffee. And I'm like, oh. I know Swiss coffee. Yeah, that's fine, sure. Because I'm thinking, what do you mean not white? Everybody does white.
We do Swiss coffee.
It's super fancy, and you know what? It's worth it because it looks absolutely amazing. It made a world of difference.
Yeah, and
just transformed the room.
It definitely did, because the other one was dark.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the funniest thing in that house is just what they did with the air conditioning.
Oh God,
it was so dumb. So it's 2 floors, right? So, of course you want both of the thermostats downstairs, right?
Oh, Chad, did we not? Oh, no. Chad's mind is about to be blown right now.
I like the sound of
Did
that.
you
Dun,
nest
dun,
it?
So-
dun, 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 dun.
So yeah,
Are you ready for
when we
this?
first moved in, they were talking about one upstairs unit and one downstairs unit
Right.
for the AC.
Right.
Well, so Chad's dad ended up moving the one thermostat from the downstairs bedroom to the upstairs.
Right.
Because he has his own air conditioning
Yep.
company.
Right.
So.
And does an amazing job too.
And
Shameless plug.
we
That's
ended
Dawn
up
Air.
I'm full of them.
we ended up actually finding out after the fact though that the two units don't actually control the upstairs and the downstairs.
Yeah, I heard it's. You guys told me it's like an east-west thing now.
Kind of, yeah. So the one unit, the main unit,
Right.
controls pretty much all of the house,
Okay.
except for the two master bedrooms.
Okay.
The second unit controls the two master bedrooms.
Oh.
So,
Okay. So
yeah.
the one you moved upstairs.
So the one we
is-
moved upstairs, fortunately, is right next to the second master, so it still works perfectly
for the two.
for the two masters.
Okay.
But it was just funny because you would think that the owner would have told us that.
Yeah, or
because at
something.
first he was just literally telling us that, well, you don't want it upstairs because, you know, then your kids will touch it. And we're like, we don't have
and
kids.
then
What are you
it'll just
talking
run
about?
all the time.
It'll just
It's
run all the
upstairs.
time.
All those
It's like,
kids
Wait, what?
running around.
So, yeah. But then we actually found out that it actually could have totally been in the master bedroom because it controlled that side instead of
Right.
telling us what it actually controlled.
But that tells you how whoever installed them in the first place just put them in so weirdly.
You know,
Yes.
What's funny is I've never touched a thermostat in so long since
Yeah.
I got those Nest things. I'm so lazy now, and it's
Pretty
amazing.
nice.
And our
phones are nice.
thermostats, oh, that was another adventure. So our thermostats are smart thermostats.
Okay. Yeah.
However, they were registered to the previous owner.
Oh,
So when
they
I
have
tried to
like-
set up the app, I ended up actually having to call Honeywell to get them taken off.
to, like
Yeah.
reset it. Oh,
Yes.
So notes for the future
So
for
notes
anyone.
for the
Yeah.
future.
if there's smart stats, you gotta get them reset.
Yeah. So that
Preferably
was a
with the
pain.
people selling the house.
Yes.
Probably a lot less of a headache.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would have been. So that was a fun little thing, but you know.
That's awesome. So where do you guys see yourself now? What's next?
Well, the house is entirely decorated.
Yes.
So,
Already?
Yes.
Having no internet will help.
completely
It
decorated.
is. Yeah, they turned out the house wasn't wired for internet or
Oh,
anything.
okay. All right. Well, I mean,
So it took them a little while. It cost a little while to get out there, longer than
Yeah.
anticipated. So they had plenty of
7
time to
weeks.
decorate.
Yeah, but they did. But it was a blessing in
Hit on
disguise.
Yep.
You're able to get everything.
well, you were
done.
focused on getting things settled.
Yep.
and-
That's all we
yeah,
did.
right.
Was we didn't have anything else to do. You
Right.
know, you have it's amazing actually how reliant we are on internet.
on internet to do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can't watch Netflix. Oh, I can't watch Hulu. What am I to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, the entire house got decorated, lickety split, and
I remember when you guys called me when you unpacked your last box. You're like, you must come over and see the house now.
Yep.
Yes. Right now, drop what you're doing and come.
I'm
see
on my
the
way.
house.
Do you mind if Laura comes?
please,
awesome.
please bring Laura. Yay!
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was exciting and fun.
I do miss the lamp room.
Yes, yeah, that's
Forever in
true.
our hearts.
Yeah.
There was a room that we had designated where we just put all the lamps in. while we get stuff done.
It's now fully decorated with only 1 or 2 lamps.
But now I think we'll kind of focus more on the outside of the home because now the
Yeah.
inside's done. So we did replace the stone with grass. We have artificial grass for our little doggies.
Yeah.
And we'll take care of the pool and just outside stuff primarily.
Makes sense.
Will be the focus kind of going forward over the next couple of years.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we
Not
have
as
to
big of a
get-
concern because we don't live
Now let's
outside.
get into more personal stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let's get into your comic
Yeah.
online, your
So
website.
What are you talking about, sir?
I don't know. Maybe some type of shameless plug.
Yeah.
That's not too shameless since you are here.
Yes.
I mean, I liked your story about how you're, constantly working on those type of projects, and I got to see a little bit of it on your website. And
He has a lot of great original material at his house as well.
oh, okay,
that-
yeah, right.
That we've gone through a little bit. That's pretty awesome.
Yes.
And I'm glad your computer's back up and running as well.
Me too.
Oh gosh.
Big
yes.
shout out to Brandon for
Yeah,
fixing
thank
that.
you, Brandon.
Yes, thank you.
Brandon Dowd?
So,
Yeah.
All right.
so very much for fixing it. Again, I still don't quite understand what was going on, but it's working. So that's all that matters.
That's awesome.
I'm terrible with technology, as my wife will tell you. sometimes unprompted, that I am the Lord of Destruction.
He's worse with screwdrivers.
Yes.
So
Wow.
Even worse. But somehow.
It's
some way.
funny because that definitely carried through the entire day during your housewarming party, where Josh is just like, well, this isn't working.
Yep.
Just over and over
Just,
again.
yeah, like I'm just,
He's like,
worst
this was
luck when it
working
comes to
yesterday,
stuff.
and
Yep. When it comes prime time, I'm like, well,
here, Billy, here's a stick. Play with that stick.
please. The stick broke. Darn it.
All right, so
I mean-
let's talk about your comic.
Yeah,
And
tell us
let's
a
talk
little
about
bit
your
about
website. Why don't we go with that?
your
Go with that, yeah.
current website and then your comic and like what projects you have in the works.
Yeah.
And what's going on.
Maybe what we're gonna do for our D&D thing.
Gasp. More on that later. So first and foremost, I am the co-founder of Cleo Studios, LLC, limited liability company. And what me and my buddy Brandon Ray, what we decided to do is both of us kind of got together after a lot of the independent film companies left, and we're like, we got a lot of really cool stuff. We work very well together. I work with him at Best Buy. He was one of my very, very good and bestest of friends. So we're like, hey, what's stopping us from kind of doing our own thing? And that started, I want to say, probably around like 2007, 2008.
Okay.
From there, we kind of just started to do our own thing. We were at that point we were working on storyboards. He was writing for stuff too, so we were actually pretty busy doing other people's work. And so once that kind of started to dry up, we're like, what are we going to do? Because we continued to do storyboards and stuff for other people, but it was starting to dry up. Because again, once all the independent film companies left, there wasn't a whole lot of people around here, and those that were, God bless them, were not able to afford it all, all at once. So it was like installment payments, or just with the promise of, hey, we're going to kind of, we'll pay you later. It's that lovely exposure piece that all artists fear when they say, yep, you're going to get great exposure for this, that, or the other thing. So we, which is pretty much the polite way of saying you're going to be doing this for free, and you're probably never going to see any money. So again, thankfully found some lovely folks that were able to pay us what they could for the projects. But again, it just kind of dried up, and we're like, now what do we do? And we have a lot of this really, and I talked to my buddy Brandon, I'm like, we have all this really cool stuff that we're sitting on. Why don't we do something with it? I'd love to do a webcomic. I'd love to just create something to bring joy and laughter into the world, because I love to create lovely comics. It had started pretty much from a young age. I would say in like 4th grade, I made a little business card that said I was going to be a cartoonist. So now I finally kind of get to live that dream and create art and be a cartoonist. And I kind of go back and forth between more of a realistic approach when it comes to art, but I always kind of fall back into cartooning, and that's where kind of Cleo's comics came. So again, kind of piggybacking off of the studio, it's a separate website that we will continue to put our intellectual properties on. So we're working on a sci-fi right now. I'm working on a high fantasy that I've been working on for a very, very long time. So we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline within the next couple of years. But my pride and joy right now is Broken Treasures. And Broken Treasures just kind of started. It's been over, I think, almost 4 years now that it's been out there. And that is crazy to me to realize that I've been working on this for that long. And right now, I would easily say it has over 200 to 300 comics directly in there, because it's that time, it's that balance of trying to work a full-time job, have a married life, stay sane, play video games.
You're almost at the 4-year mark.
There we
Shows
go.
February 3rd, 2016 is the first release.
Really?
Ooh.
Ouch.
Wow.
We're like almost on the dot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Couldn't have timed that better.
Yeah.
And the premise was I wanted to do something really goofy, because I tried something in like 2005, but at that point I wasn't skilled enough to write a at least somewhat decent story and create decent characters. So I kind of revived the concept of my 2 main characters, Chrissy and Ty, and then a lot of these other just weird, goofy characters directly in it. And ultimately it was a story I wanted to write about, friends and family and all the experiences that you have in your life, and maybe working a job that maybe you don't necessarily want to do, but you do it to make ends meet. But the ultimate end game was that this is a story about how life can just be a dick at any time to you. So we come into the comic with Chrissy, our main gal. She's in a dark place. So we have our good guy, Ty, who's coming in to trying to pick her up. And so ultimately he takes her and gets her a job at his place called Broken Treasures, where he's the IT guy, and he has no idea how to even do IT. So it's amazing how he even has this job to do it there too. But ultimately really, it's fun because all of these characters that I've created have a little bit of me in it. Some of them more than others there too. So just to get all spoilery here, but there is a pudgy British shark that's in there.
Spoilers.
There is a heavy metal whale. There is a pudgy rhino. There's a disgruntled phys ed teacher directly in there too. And one of my favorite characters, Boss Man, he is the owner and proprietor of Broken Treasures, which ultimately is just a way for him to feed his obsession with Viking artifacts. And he full on believes that he is in fact a Viking, that he's a descendant. He has this huge pile of money that we don't even know how he got. And he just is he's trying to build a Viking empire is really what he's trying to do. So you have all these oddball characters, and of course in this world you have pets that talk, because why not? And you have a little dog, Longo, that talks, and then Samus, the gamer bro cat of Ty, which you will often find kind of nestled in the back of his hoodie, just kind of hanging out there. So it's an outlet for me to really have a lot of fun. I like creating stuff in the background to kind of frame a story and tell a story behind it, and create just kind of a world that is open, and that stuff happens even outside of the story. I did a little side story. It's called Broken Treasure Sketchies, and with that's just kind of, when you're telling a story, it's hard to kind of go with the day-to-day stuff. So that was just more of like a quick sketch around just the going abouts of what your normal life could be and the shenanigans that you directly get into. So it's really relatable, and a lot of it would just come specifically from like stuff that I did. Like I'm pretty sure the first one that Chad's looking at right now is of Ty packing a lunch, and Samus had eaten his lunch and left him a little note and a picture in it of it. So it's just little stupid stuff like that it makes me go tee when I look at it.
Notice my reaction to it or not?
No.
When I read it, but I went,
it's that kind of stuff that you're like, that's kind of funny. But I judge my when I'm drawing it, like for me, it brings me a profound amount of joy if I'm drawing and I'm laughing my butt off.
That's
just
funny.
going
Which
through
he
a long
totally
creative- and I'm
does.
just like,
You just hear him laughing in like somewhere in some room. Just
Yep. I'll be
He's like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, nothing. Just my stuff.
Just thoughts.
My cool stuff. And just a lot of
Thoughts and
fun
pencil drawings.
stuff. Because again, I have a lot of, there's a lot of icons in the industry, like Seth MacFarlane and those individual creators that have really made a career out of it. So I look up to those guys. And again, I would love that. Again, you talked about, my dream job earlier. I would love to just be in that environment, because I do voices too, where I would love to just create my own content, live in that world, and just do it all.
That's awesome.
Embrace it.
Well, you got to start somewhere,
Right.
And you have the square footage.
Yes,
So
we do, in a lovely office, in
Yeah.
just a truly inspired space. And for those of you
So
wondering
that-
at home, that is www.kleoscomics.com with a K. I'll have Chad spell it for you.
yeah, and don't worry about it
Yeah.
because we're going to be linking all of your stuff in our
Yes.
show notes and
It'll be
everything.
linked in there.
I mean, it
so
looks
people can
like
just go
he's got the comics and the storyboards and these projects and so your website's your main hub right now.
Yes.
To see all this stuff.
Yes, it is.
Anywhere else as well, or not yet?
Right now, this will be, the Kleos Comics will be kind of, we created it with the intent of having it kind of be an area that you can get a lot of content. So
Right.
it's not just Kleos, it's not just Broken Treasures,
Right.
it's the other things that we're working on. We kind of wanted to just be the staging area. And
Right.
the Kleos Studios is just where we have like house the storyboards and that kind of stuff.
Got
Ultimately.
it.
So two separate entities, but they're also intrinsically connected.
That's
as well there,
awesome.
too. And Chad is smiling at the I had to make a, there's the popular meme where the girl's yelling at the cat, and I'm like, wow, I've got an angry girl character and I've got a cat. Why is it taking me so long to do this? So I had to put that out there.
Yeah,
and
it's
ultimately it's my reminder of, you should update the comic more often. And well, Samus's face says it all.
That's awesome.
Directly right
It's pretty
there.
funny.
That's awesome. So so creating all of these worlds is the future. That's what we're working on.
Yep.
And it looks like Dee needs to start an interior design kind of a
does.
thing going on.
I agree.
probably
I think
do.
she does.
And
You had a name for it, Ultimate Design.
Ultimo.
That's
D-
right.
Oh,
Ultimo
Ultimo
design.
Yeah.
I think you should. I mean, it's so easy to start.
Quick, somebody get that
Get that website real
You know what? The
fast.
best part is
She works at GoDaddy.
I
She can
actually
get it right
already
now.
have that domain.
Sorry,
I do have
everybody
that
else.
domain already. Thank you all.
But like the domain, as well as like sharing your ideas and whatnot on
I
like
know a great photographer
like-
that could help you out.
yeah,
That's true. That
like
is a true
Pinterest
story.
and using Pinterest and all these different platforms.
So there's one thing about me that's a little odd, or well, at least in today's society, I don't do social media at all.
Dun, dun,
I know. It's shocking.
It's
very
really
shocking.
Shocking. I
you
know.
know this is a podcast, right?
I know. I know.
Podcast is
She's,
social
now-
media.
she's doing
I
one
make
thing
guests-
of social
She's
media.
on
I
the
make
grid
guest
now.
appearances on social
Only
media.
guest well, that
like
makes it that
occasionally
much
on
special.
Josh's.
Yeah, she'll be in a
social
photo on
media.
Josh's
Yeah.
Facebook or something.
It's really funny
Just to
when
prove she exists
when
to
certain
people.
people are like, "Oh, are you on Facebook now?" Like, no, sorry.
She was just associated.
And is it going to be
Somebody
that
else.
way for a while?
Probably. I don't know. We'll see.
You know,
I'm
maybe
just-
when her
just
interior
not-
design
yeah,
stuff
maybe,
picks up, maybe
if
she'll
I
get
do
into it.
business, then I might do like
Yeah, just
business
get your stuff out
but
there, you
Yeah,
know?
because
Yeah.
I mean that's obviously
Just
a
take
really
pictures of your own
really
house
big
and
thing.
put them up.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at what I did
and
with
my
this
old
space.
house.
Well, I mean
My old
that's
house.
the thing. Like showcasing your work. These platforms can be. It's a free way to do it, just to get your name out there. And
Yep.
I mean, like with interior design and stuff, like one thing, like a lot of people that have that artistic, even comics too. Like people underestimate some of these platforms that aren't the mainstream platforms, but like Pinterest and whatnot, where you can showcase these boards and in a really creative way. It can link to your domain and all this different stuff. Creative ways you can showcase what you want when you want.
And GoDaddy, like we're all about small businesses, and they really encourage us as
Right.
employees to have side hustles.
That's awesome.
So, we have many, many employees who have their own thing going on the side. And sometimes those things end up taking them away from GoDaddy, and that's okay because
That's the
the
culture
main
of
thing
it.
is like they want small businesses to succeed so very, very much. So, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of that inside of me, but there's a fear too.
Why?
Like
Why?
I don't know, just
Let's
more
unpack
of a
that
let's unpack
right
Let's
now.
do it.
What are you afraid of?
Yeah.
What are your
What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to go right back to where you are now?
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
not right now.
More like,
What is it? What-
do I really
don't
want to
wanna be
take the
stuck just with
time?
Josh.
But yeah,
I wouldn't either.
I don't know. It's
Is it a FOMO type thing or?
no, more like a, do I really want to work more than I already do?
But is it work if you
I
like
don't know. That's a good point. It might not be.
We're cutting right to the.
I think
That's true.
it's
Cloth
really just
here.
getting into her VR time. I think that's mainly what it is.
it? Okay.
That's true.
All right. The true
I do
intent
have
comes
I do
out.
have a very strong addiction to Beat Saber.
She's
So.
extremely good at it that it's frightening.
It is. I can't even. I literally can't even.
I'm gonna cut that part out only for Josh. And this is Josh. I can't even.
Put that randomly in spots throughout the episode.
You know what? I endorse that. That's fine. Yeah, that's good.
It's Josh.
I think you should go.
If you want me to say it again, I can make it more clear. I literally can't even.
That was a good one. We're cutting that one too.
Yeah.
I think you should do it.
Yeah, I think it would be a fun thing.
Yeah.
So, Chad, tell me when you have a client for me.
So in the show notes, we're going to put your website and any other links you want for your stuff. And when your stuff is live, we're going to edit those show notes.
And we'll add that.
And we're going to add that to it. Because when people, because different people are going to listen to this and they're coming from different places. And if they like the kind of things you're talking about, like just the way you are, they're going to want to see what you're doing, So we're definitely going to keep that up there perpetually, forever. So people can find your stuff.
We
and,
did it.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Mom? I made it.
You made it.
This is the beginning.
I'm in a podcast now.
Yeah.
That I didn't make myself.
That's win. If that's not winning, I don't know what is.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening.
We hope you found this episode valuable and engaging.
Through listening to this episode, if you had any question or comment you wanted to share with us, even one for our guest, here's what you can do.
You can either go to our website by following the link in the show notes to record your question or comment directly, or email us a recorded voice note with your comment or question, and you could be featured in an upcoming episode.
And if your question is for our guest, we will do our very best to have it answered by them personally.
If you'd like to connect to our guest directly, their information will also be in the show notes.
So thanks again for tuning in with your support.
Until next time, I'm your host, Chad.
And I'm your host, Ramneek.